Have you ever wondered why the men who care the most are often the ones who end up alone? Why does being the nice guy, the one who sacrifices and does everything right, so often backfire? Today, we're diving into the uncomfortable truth about modern relationships. Caring too much doesn't make you more lovable. In fact, it can make you less desirable. The reason why might surprise you. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand how to flip the script and become the kind of man every woman is drawn to, not the one she walks away from. Comment below, "I refuse to chase, I choose to lead." Let's see who's ready to embrace their worth and change their mindset forever. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Attachment can kill attraction. In the early stages of a relationship, there's an undeniable spark, an excitement that makes everything feel fresh and thrilling. But as time goes on, one thing can quickly begin to undermine this chemistry: attachment. While emotional connection is a natural and necessary part of any healthy relationship, when attachment becomes too strong or unbalanced, it can kill the very attraction that brought you together in the first place. Attachment in this context is not about the healthy bond that naturally forms between two people. It's about emotional dependency. It's when your happiness, self-worth, and sense of security become overly reliant on another person. This is where the dynamics of the relationship begin to shift. Instead of two strong, independent individuals coming together to share a life, you become entangled in a web of expectations, needs, and insecurities. This type of attachment is often marked by behaviors like constant texting, needing reassurance every few minutes, feeling anxious or panicked if your partner doesn't respond quickly, or trying to control their actions and decisions. It comes from a place of fear of losing the relationship, fear of being alone, fear of not being good enough. However, what many fail to realize is that these behaviors are incredibly unattractive. While you may feel that you're showing love or care to your partner, it can feel suffocating, overwhelming, and draining. Why does attachment kill attraction? It boils down to one simple truth: attraction thrives on freedom, mystery, and emotional independence. When a man becomes overly attached, the excitement of the relationship fades. His partner no longer feels the thrill of wondering about him, of missing him, or of getting to know him better. Instead, the emotional bond becomes too heavy, too predictable, and too emotionally demanding. This robs the relationship of its spark. Attraction is at its best when both partners are independent, when they have their own passions, their own lives, and their own sense of self-worth. When you're overly attached, you project insecurity, and insecurity is one of the biggest attraction killers. A man who needs constant validation from his partner is showing that he lacks confidence in himself. Instead of being emotionally self-sufficient, he's relying on the relationship to fill his emotional void. Women, in particular, are drawn to men who can stand strong on their own, who are emotionally resilient, and who are secure in who they are without constantly seeking approval from others. In essence, attachment becomes an invisible weight that drags down the relationship. When you become overly emotionally dependent, you turn the relationship into a need rather than a desire. You don't give your partner space to breathe or be their own person. You don't allow the relationship to naturally ebb and flow, with moments of closeness and moments of individuality. Instead, you demand constant attention, affirmation, and emotional support. This creates an imbalance that is unsustainable in the long term, leading to burnout and dissatisfaction. True attraction comes from two people who are secure in themselves, who don't need each other to validate their self-worth, but choose to be together because they genuinely enjoy each other's company and bring value to one another's lives. When both partners can stand strong as individuals, the relationship becomes a place of mutual growth, respect, and admiration. What makes attachment dangerous is that it often hides deeper insecurities. When a man is overly attached, it's typically a reflection of his own unresolved fears, insecurities, or unmet emotional needs. Instead of addressing these internal issues, he projects them onto his partner. This not only puts unnecessary pressure on the relationship, but also shifts the focus away from mutual respect and connection to a one-sided dynamic where one person's emotional needs take priority. This kind of emotional dependency creates a toxic cycle where the more one person gives, the more the other demands, until resentment builds. This is where emotional independence becomes crucial. To maintain attraction, you must first have a solid sense of self-worth. A man who knows his value, has his own goals, and is emotionally self-sufficient brings a sense of strength and stability to the relationship. He doesn't need to cling to his partner or seek constant reassurance because he is secure in who he is. Moreover, emotional independence doesn't mean you become distant or cold. It means you have the emotional resilience to face challenges without falling apart. It means you have the maturity to deal with your emotions constructively and the confidence to let your partner have their space without feeling threatened. This is what creates lasting attraction. When both partners are emotionally self-sufficient, they each bring their best selves to the table. They allow each other to grow. They create a relationship built on trust, respect, and shared values, and they ensure that the bond remains strong and dynamic. Another important aspect of maintaining attraction through emotional independence is maintaining your own passions and interests. When a man becomes overly attached, he often begins to neglect his own personal goals in favor of the relationship. This can lead to feelings of boredom or resentment. But when you continue to pursue your own passions, whether it's a career, a hobby, or personal growth, you remain interesting, engaging, and full of energy. You give your partner the chance to admire you for who you are as an individual, not just as a partner. Ultimately, the secret to maintaining attraction in a relationship lies in the balance between closeness and independence. It's about staying emotionally grounded, building your own sense of self-worth, and showing up as your best, most authentic self. When you do this, the relationship becomes a healthy, mutual partnership, not a codependent one. The attraction will not fade, but rather grow stronger with time, as both partners continue to inspire and support one another in their individual pursuits. Number 2, over-affection can feel like pressure. In relationships, affection is a key element that builds emotional connection and trust. However, when it becomes excessive, over-affection can quickly turn from a loving gesture into an emotional burden. While it's important to express love and care, there's a fine line between showing affection and overwhelming your partner with it. Over-affection often stems from insecurity or fear. Fear of not being loved enough, fear of rejection, or fear of losing the relationship. These feelings may drive a person to become overly attentive, constantly texting, seeking reassurance, or showering their partner with excessive compliments or gestures. At first, this can feel flattering, but over time, it can create a sense of suffocation. When one partner feels constantly pursued or over-validated, it can trigger anxiety or a sense of obligation. The relationship starts to feel less like a natural connection and more like a performance, where one person is trying too hard to earn the other's approval. This pressure doesn't necessarily come from a place of malice or manipulation. It's simply a byproduct of overinvestment in the relationship. When one partner is continuously giving more than the other can reciprocate, they can feel overwhelmed or even guilty, which can diminish the quality of the bond. Over time, the more over-affection is given, the more it can erode the attraction and intimacy between the two. Think of it this way. If a partner were to shower their significant other with gifts or constantly pursue them, it could make the recipient feel uncomfortable or unbalanced. They might begin to question whether the affection is genuine or if it's being given with the expectation of a specific return. Over-affection can start to feel like a pressure to reciprocate feelings that might not yet exist or to maintain a level of affection that feels unnatural. This sets the stage for emotional burnout, where one person may feel drained while the other becomes frustrated by the lack of response. When affection is too abundant or comes without space for the other person to process or reciprocate it, it can make the relationship feel one-sided. In the beginning stages, it can feel exciting and novel, but as the relationship progresses, if one person is always the giver, it can lead to feelings of imbalance. Constant affection, especially if it's not reciprocated in equal measure, can create an unhealthy dynamic in which one partner feels overly responsible for the other's emotions. This may even lead to one partner becoming emotionally dependent on the other, creating a codependent relationship that robs both individuals of their independence. A key factor in this dynamic is emotional space. Healthy relationships require room for both partners to grow individually. When over-affection takes over, it often blurs those boundaries, leaving little room for either person to maintain a healthy sense of self. Constant attention can stifle personal growth and lead to emotional burnout, where neither partner feels free to pursue their own interests or passions without guilt or worry about the other's emotional state. The problem with over-affection is that it can also signal a lack of emotional stability or confidence. When someone is constantly seeking validation through affection, they're telling their partner that they cannot feel whole on their own. This sense of neediness can diminish their attractiveness because it implies that their self-worth is contingent on the other person's attention. Over time, this can result in the partner feeling trapped or pressured to constantly reassure and validate the person, which is emotionally exhausting. No one wants to feel like they are the sole source of someone else's happiness or emotional well-being. True affection in a relationship is grounded in mutual respect and understanding. It's about showing love without the need for constant validation or reassurances. When affection is given freely, without expectation of return, it's far more meaningful and impactful. One of the most attractive qualities in a partner is the ability to give love without the need to be constantly reassured or to demand attention. Affection should come from a place of emotional stability, not from fear of loss or rejection. When both partners feel emotionally secure and independent, they are better able to create a dynamic where affection is freely given and received without any pressure or strings attached. Over-affection also often leads to a sense of desperation or neediness, which is a major turn-off in relationships. If a person is constantly seeking affection or attention, it often makes the partner feel as if they are not being valued for their own worth, but instead are seen as a means to an end, another way to feel validated. Relationships thrive when both partners are secure in their individuality, and when they don't feel the need to constantly check in with one another or over-invest emotionally. There is also the danger of emotional dependency. When one partner becomes over-obsessed with receiving affection, they risk losing their sense of identity and becoming reliant on their partner for emotional fulfillment. This is not only unhealthy, but it can also lead to dissatisfaction in the relationship. A healthy dynamic is one where both people feel free to pursue their individual passions, interests, and needs, and where affection is a bonus to the strong, independent selves that they each bring to the table. Ultimately, over-affection feels like pressure because it diminishes emotional freedom and creates a sense of obligation. Relationships should be about mutual respect and the organic flow of love, not a cycle of emotional demands. Affection is most effective when given thoughtfully, when there's space for both partners to breathe, and when it's not attached to a desire for validation. When you can balance affection with emotional independence, you create an atmosphere in which attraction thrives naturally. Over time, this balance strengthens the relationship, creating a deeper, more authentic connection based on trust, respect, and true intimacy. Number 3. Hypergamy and hidden drives. Hypergamy, often referred to as marrying up, is a concept that suggests that individuals, particularly women, are subconsciously inclined to seek out partners who are of higher social, financial, or status-based standing than themselves. This desire is deeply rooted in evolutionary biology, social conditioning, and personal psychology. While hypergamy is not inherently negative, it often operates on a more subconscious level, and its effects can be complex in modern relationships. At its core, hypergamy reflects the instinctual drive to seek out the best possible genetic and financial security for oneself and one's offspring. Historically, women's survival and reproductive success depended largely on the resources and status their partners could provide. A man who had wealth, power, and influence was more likely to ensure his partner's safety and the success of their children. In modern society, these instinctual drives remain present, but the way they manifest can be more subtle, influenced by factors such as culture, personal values, and expectations. In the context of relationships, hypergamy can lead to women being drawn to men who offer more than just emotional fulfillment. They may be subconsciously seeking men who can offer protection, stability, and the potential for upward mobility. This does not necessarily mean that women are consciously using men for their resources, but it does reflect a deeply ingrained drive for security and success. Even in today's world, where women can be financially independent and socially empowered, the instinctual drive to seek a higher status partner still plays a role in mate selection. What makes hypergamy particularly interesting in modern dating is the way it operates beneath the surface. Many people are unaware of how their internal drives influence their attraction and relationship choices. A woman might fall for a man because he is charming, confident, or ambitious, but beneath the surface, she may also be drawn to the idea of him being successful or of higher status, even if this attraction is not the primary focus of her initial feelings. These hidden drives are not necessarily negative, but they can sometimes cause individuals to overlook deeper emotional compatibility in favor of perceived external traits. In relationships where one partner is significantly more successful or socially dominant, it can create an imbalance. The partner with more power or resources may unintentionally trigger a feeling of insecurity in the less successful partner, leading them to question their own value. The more successful partner may also feel that their position of power is what attracts their mate, rather than their character or emotional connection. This dynamic can create a subtle but powerful tension in relationships, one that is not always fully recognized by either party. The issue with hypergamy in relationships isn't necessarily the drive itself, but the imbalance it can create. When one partner feels the need to constantly prove themselves or maintain a higher social standing, it can lead to a lack of genuine connection and mutual respect. The individual on the receiving end of hypergamous attraction may begin to feel as though they are only valued for their status or resources, rather than for who they are as a person. This can breed resentment, insecurity, and ultimately, disconnection in the relationship. In modern relationships, hypergamy is further complicated by societal pressures, where success and status are often equated with personal worth. Social media, for example, exacerbates the allure of the perfect partner, one who has it all: looks, money, career, and social status. This can create unrealistic expectations and perpetuate the belief that one's worth is tied to external accomplishments. Women may then subconsciously measure potential partners against these external markers of success, rather than evaluating them based on emotional compatibility or shared values. For men, understanding the concept of hypergamy and its influence can help them avoid falling into the trap of trying to prove their worth through status alone. If a man feels that his success or resources are the only things that attract women to him, he might begin to neglect other crucial aspects of a healthy relationship, such as emotional intimacy, communication, and vulnerability. Hypergamy might make women more likely to be attracted to a man with financial stability or social standing, but these traits alone won't sustain a meaningful, long-lasting relationship. The key to navigating hypergamy and its hidden drives lies in balance. It's important for both men and women to recognize the underlying motivations that influence attraction, while also being aware of the deeper qualities that make a relationship truly fulfilling. Authentic connection, mutual respect, emotional intelligence, and shared values are the pillars of any successful partnership, regardless of social status. Understanding that hypergamy may be at play doesn't mean rejecting these drives altogether, but it does mean being aware of their impact and choosing to focus on building relationships that are based on more than just status or material success. Ultimately, hypergamy is not inherently negative, but it's important to be conscious of how it can shape attraction and relationships. A relationship built on mutual respect, emotional compatibility, and shared goals will be far more lasting and meaningful than one based solely on the pursuit of social status or material gain. By acknowledging and understanding the hidden drives that shape our desires, we can create relationships that go beyond superficial measures and lead to deeper, more authentic connections. Number 4. Emotional overload turns her off. Emotions are powerful, but when they're unchecked, they can sabotage your relationships. Men who let their emotions dictate their actions often come across as unstable and unreliable, two traits that are deeply unattractive to women. Strength in relationships doesn't mean suppressing your emotions, it means mastering them. Imagine a man who panics every time his partner doesn't reply to a text immediately. He starts overthinking, sending follow-up messages, and creating scenarios in his mind about why she's ignoring him. To him, it feels like he's expressing concern, but to her, it feels like he's being needy and insecure. Emotional overload manifests in other ways too: jealousy, impulsive decisions, and overreactions to minor issues. While these behaviors might stem from a place of care, they signal to a woman that you lack the emotional control to handle challenges. And here's the truth: women want a man who can be their rock, not a man who crumbles under pressure. Consider this scenario. A man and a woman are having a disagreement. Instead of staying calm and addressing the issue rationally, he becomes defensive, raises his voice, or storms off. His inability to manage his emotions creates a sense of instability in the relationship. In contrast, a man who stays composed, listens actively, and responds thoughtfully demonstrates the kind of strength that women find irresistible. The key to mastering your emotions is understanding that they are signals, not commands. Feeling insecure or jealous is natural, but acting on those feelings without reflection is where the problem lies. Instead of reacting impulsively, take a step back and ask yourself, is this feeling based on reality, or is it my own insecurity talking? When you approach your emotions with curiosity rather than judgment, you gain control over them. Another aspect of emotional mastery is knowing when to take responsibility and when to let things go. Not every conflict needs to be resolved immediately, and not every disagreement is a threat to the relationship. Sometimes, giving her space to process her emotions is the best thing you can do. It shows that you're confident enough to let things unfold naturally rather than forcing a resolution out of fear. Emotional overload also affects how you make decisions in a relationship. When you're driven by emotion rather than logic, you're more likely to compromise your values, abandon your goals, or sacrifice your independence. While these sacrifices might feel like acts of love, they ultimately weaken the foundation of the relationship. Women are drawn to men who can balance their emotions with rational thought. A man who can acknowledge his feelings without being controlled by them demonstrates maturity and self-awareness, two traits that are incredibly attractive. The next time you feel the urge to act on impulse, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this decision aligned with my values and goals? If the answer is no, take a step back. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means integrating them with your principles to make thoughtful and intentional choices. Mastering your emotions isn't just about improving your relationships. It's about becoming a stronger, more resilient man. When you learn to navigate the highs and lows of life with composure and grace, you become the kind of partner who inspires trust and admiration. And when you lead with strength, women will naturally be drawn to you. Number 5. The balance between love and freedom. Love and freedom are not opposites, they are partners. The modern misconception is that to love someone deeply, you must give up parts of yourself. Sacrificing your independence, passions, or goals might seem romantic at first, but over time, it breeds resentment and diminishes respect. The truth is, a relationship thrives when both people maintain their individuality and sense of purpose. When you make a woman your entire world, it doesn't make her feel loved. It makes her feel trapped. No one wants the responsibility of being another person's sole source of happiness. It's overwhelming, and it puts unnecessary pressure on the relationship. Love is meant to be a partnership, not a surrender. Imagine a man who falls deeply in love and begins to reshape his entire life around his partner. He stops pursuing his career goals because he wants to spend more time with her. He drifts away from his friends because he prioritizes her above all else. What he thinks is devotion, she starts to see as dependency. Over time, her admiration for him fades because he's no longer the ambitious, independent man she fell for. On the other hand, consider a man who cherishes his relationship but still makes time for his passions, friends, and personal growth. He demonstrates that he values her presence in his life, but he also values himself. This balance creates a dynamic of mutual respect, where both partners feel free to grow individually while building something meaningful together. The more you prioritize your freedom, the more attractive you become. When a woman sees that you're living a purposeful life, she feels drawn to your energy. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about being genuinely invested in your own journey. Your independence isn't a threat to the relationship. It's what makes the relationship stronger. Freedom also means setting boundaries. It's not selfish to say no to plans if they conflict with your personal goals or commitments. In fact, boundaries show that you respect yourself and your time. A woman will respect you more when she sees that you have the courage to protect your own priorities. This balance between love and freedom is rooted in trust. When you trust yourself to live a fulfilling life, you're not afraid to give your partner the space to do the same. Trust eliminates the need for control, which is often the root cause of conflict in relationships. Instead of clinging to each other out of fear, you come together out of choice. Maintaining freedom in a relationship doesn't mean keeping secrets or being distant. It means staying true to who you are. If you were passionate about fitness, music, or entrepreneurship before the relationship, those passions should remain a part of your life. They are what make you unique, and they are likely part of what attracted her to you in the first place. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to lose yourself in a relationship. Social media often glorifies couples who appear inseparable, creating a false narrative that love requires constant togetherness. But true love isn't about being joined at the hip. It's about walking side by side, each pursuing your own goals while supporting each other along the way. When you maintain your freedom, you also encourage your partner to do the same. This creates a dynamic where both people bring their best selves to the relationship instead of becoming stagnant. The relationship evolves as both partners grow, deepening the connection and ensuring that it remains vibrant and fulfilling. Number 6. Strength over obsession. Strength is the foundation of every successful relationship. It's not about physical dominance or control, it's about emotional resilience and self-assurance. Women are naturally drawn to men who exude strength because it signals reliability and security. Obsession, on the other hand, is a sign of weakness. A man who is obsessed with his partner often loses sight of himself. He becomes overly focused on her actions, her feelings, and her approval. This behavior not only drains his energy, but also undermines the relationship. Obsession turns love into dependency, and dependency is the fastest way to lose respect. Imagine a man who constantly checks his partner's social media, overanalyzes her texts, and feels anxious when she spends time with friends. To him, this might feel like care and concern, but to her, it feels suffocating. His inability to trust her and his fixation on her every move sends a clear message: I don't feel secure in myself. True strength is the opposite of obsession. It's the ability to love deeply while maintaining your own sense of identity. A strong man doesn't rely on his partner to validate his worth. He knows his value and lives accordingly. This confidence is magnetic because it shows that he's in control of his life, not at the mercy of his emotions. Strength also means being able to handle challenges with grace. Relationships are not always smooth sailing, and how you respond to difficulties says a lot about your character. A man who reacts to every disagreement with anger, insecurity, or desperation is showing that he lacks emotional maturity. But a man who approaches conflicts calmly and thoughtfully demonstrates the kind of stability that women admire. To cultivate strength, you must first understand yourself. What are your values? What are your goals? When you have a clear sense of who you are, you're less likely to compromise your identity for the sake of a relationship. This self-awareness also helps you set boundaries, which are essential for maintaining respect in any partnership. Strength isn't about pretending to be invulnerable. It's about being honest with yourself and your partner while remaining grounded. A man who can acknowledge his emotions without being controlled by them is far more attractive than a man who tries to hide his feelings or act tough. Authenticity, combined with resilience, is what sets strong men apart. In today's world, where many men are taught to suppress their emotions or seek validation through relationships, cultivating true strength is a rare and valuable trait. It's not about impressing others or proving your worth. It's about living with integrity and confidence. When you embody strength, you create a dynamic in which your partner feels safe and respected. She knows that you can handle challenges, support her, and lead with wisdom. This kind of strength is the foundation of a relationship built on mutual trust and admiration. Strength is not something you achieve overnight. It's a daily practice of choosing to live with purpose, staying true to your values, and embracing both your strengths and weaknesses. The more you invest in your own growth, the more you'll radiate the kind of energy that draws others to you. In the end, relationships thrive when both partners bring their best selves to the table. By focusing on your own strength and independence, you create a foundation that allows love to flourish. Number 7. Why she craves mystery. Mystery isn't just about being elusive or enigmatic. It's about maintaining a sense of curiosity and excitement in the relationship. Women, like everyone, are drawn to what feels intriguing, new and exciting. When a relationship becomes too predictable, the excitement fades, and so does the desire to keep investing in it. Mystery isn't about playing games. It's about being a man with layers, a man whose depth continually inspires curiosity and admiration. Imagine reading a book where the entire plot is revealed in the first chapter. Would you keep turning the pages? Probably not. The same principle applies to relationships. If you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, or follow a predictable pattern, there's no suspense, no thrill of discovery. Women crave the sense of adventure that comes from gradually uncovering who you are. Think about the beginning of a relationship, when every interaction feels electric. She's learning new things about you, wondering about your thoughts and feelings, and imagining what might come next. That sense of mystery is intoxicating because it keeps her mind engaged and her emotions invested. But when a man becomes entirely predictable, texting at the same time every day, always doing what she expects, and revealing all his intentions up front, the intrigue fades. This doesn't mean you need to be secretive or distant. It means you need to maintain a dynamic, interesting life outside of the relationship. When a woman sees that you're pursuing your passions, taking on challenges, and continually growing, she'll naturally feel drawn to you. Your life becomes a story she wants to be a part of, not a routine she feels stuck in. Maintaining mystery also means being comfortable with silence. Many men feel the need to fill every moment with conversation or action, fearing that quiet moments might signal a lack of interest. But true confidence comes from knowing that you don't always need to explain yourself or seek validation. Sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is let her wonder what you're thinking or what you're planning next. Mystery is also about showing, not telling. A man who constantly talks about his goals, ambitions, or qualities might come across as overcompensating, but a man who lets his actions speak for themselves creates a much stronger impression. When she sees you living your truth, taking risks, and embracing your passions, she'll be captivated by your authenticity and strength. Another aspect of mystery is unpredictability. This doesn't mean being erratic or unreliable. It means breaking out of routines and surprising her in meaningful ways. Instead of following the same patterns, introduce new experiences, ideas, or challenges into the relationship. This keeps things fresh and exciting, ensuring that the connection remains vibrant and alive. Mystery isn't about withholding, it's about offering glimpses. When you share pieces of your life, your dreams, or your struggles in a thoughtful and intentional way, you create a sense of depth and authenticity that draws her closer. She wants to learn more about you, not because you're hiding something, but because you're a person of substance who can't be fully understood in a single conversation or moment. Number 8. Emotional decision-making dangers. Emotions are a natural and important part of being human, but when they govern your decisions, they can lead to chaos and instability in relationships. Emotional decision-making often manifests as impulsiveness, overreaction, or a tendency to prioritize short-term feelings over long-term goals. While it's important to acknowledge and honor your emotions, letting them dictate your actions can undermine the very connection you're trying to build. Imagine a man who cancels his personal plans every time his partner expresses a need, even if that need is minor or temporary. He thinks he's being considerate and supportive, but over time, he sacrifices his independence and becomes overly dependent on her approval. This kind of emotional decision-making doesn't strengthen the relationship. It weakens it by creating an imbalance where one person's feelings take precedence over the other's well-being. Emotional decision-making can also lead to unnecessary conflict. For example, if you react with anger or defensiveness during a disagreement, You escalate the situation instead of resolving it. A man who lets his emotions control him in these moments loses credibility and respect. Women want a partner who can navigate challenges with calm and composure, not someone who crumbles under pressure. The key to avoiding emotional decision-making is developing self-awareness. When you feel overwhelmed by your emotions, take a step back and assess the situation objectively. Ask yourself, is this feeling based on reality, or is it a reaction to my own fears or insecurities? By pausing to reflect, you give yourself the space to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Emotional decision-making is also closely tied to self-esteem. Men who lack confidence often seek validation from their partners, leading them to make choices that prioritize their partner's approval over their own values. This kind of behavior is not only unattractive, but also unsustainable. A healthy relationship requires both partners to maintain their individuality and sense of self-worth. Another common trap is making decisions based on fear. Fear of losing her, fear of conflict, or fear of being alone. These fears can drive you to compromise your principles, overextend yourself, or stay in situations that don't align with your true desires. But fear-based decisions rarely lead to happiness or fulfillment. Instead, they create a cycle of dependency and dissatisfaction. To break free from this cycle, you need to cultivate emotional resilience. This means learning to sit with your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. It means recognizing that discomfort is temporary and that you have the strength to navigate it without losing your sense of self. Emotional resilience is not about suppressing your feelings. It's about integrating them into a balanced and thoughtful approach to life. Women respect men who can balance their emotions with logic and integrity. A man who can acknowledge his feelings without being ruled by them demonstrates maturity, self-control, and confidence. These qualities not only enhance your relationships, but also make you a stronger and more fulfilled person overall. Emotional decision-making isn't just a relationship issue, it's a life issue. The more you practice self-awareness, reflection, and intentionality in your decisions, the more you'll create a life that aligns with your values and aspirations. When you live authentically, you naturally attract people who appreciate and respect you for who you are. The journey to mastering your emotions is not easy, but it's worth it. By choosing to lead with strength and purpose rather than fear or insecurity, you set yourself apart as a man of substance and integrity. In doing so, you create the foundation for relationships that are built on mutual respect, admiration, and genuine connection. Number 9. Controlled indifference works wonders. Controlled indifference is not about being cold, detached, or manipulative. It's about maintaining self-respect and emotional stability in your relationships. It's about sending a message to the world, and more importantly, to yourself, that you value yourself enough to walk away if you're not being treated with respect. This isn't just a strategy for attraction, it's a philosophy for life. When you master controlled indifference, you become the kind of man who commands respect, admiration, and desire. Imagine a man who panics at the slightest sign of distance from his partner. If she doesn't respond to his text within minutes, he floods her inbox with messages. If she seems distracted, he immediately assumes the worst and demands reassurance. To him, this feels like care and effort, but to her, it feels like desperation. Desperation is the ultimate attraction killer. It signals a lack of confidence and self-worth, which makes a man less appealing. Controlled indifference is the antidote to desperation. It's about living your life with purpose and confidence, regardless of how others respond to you. When a woman senses that your happiness isn't dependent on her, it flips the dynamic. Suddenly, she's the one wondering how to win your attention rather than the other way around. This principle works because it taps into basic human psychology. We value what we perceive as scarce or difficult to obtain. When you're always available, always accommodating, and always chasing, you send a clear message: I have nothing better to do. But when you maintain your boundaries and pursue your own goals, you create an aura of value and intrigue. Controlled indifference also helps you avoid the trap of overinvestment. Many men make the mistake of putting all their energy into a relationship, neglecting their own needs, passions, and growth. This overinvestment not only diminishes their appeal, but also sets the stage for resentment and burnout. A man who practices controlled indifference understands that a relationship should complement his life, not consume it. Controlled indifference doesn't mean you don't care about your partner or the relationship. It means you care from a place of strength, not dependency. You're not afraid to express your feelings, but you do so in a way that reflects your self-respect. You're not afraid to let her know you value her, but you're also not afraid to walk away if the relationship becomes one-sided or toxic. Here's the real power of controlled indifference. It forces you to focus on what you can control: your own actions, decisions, and mindset. You can't control how someone else feels or behaves, but you can control how you respond. When you shift your energy away from trying to win someone's approval and toward building a life you're proud of, you become unstoppable. Controlled indifference also protects you from manipulation. In any relationship, there will be moments when your partner tests your boundaries, either consciously or unconsciously. How you respond to these tests determines the dynamic of the relationship. If you cave to every demand or compromise your values to avoid conflict, you lose respect. But if you stand firm and communicate your boundaries with confidence and calm, you establish yourself as a man of integrity. Think of controlled indifference as a kind of emotional armor. It doesn't mean you're invulnerable, but it does mean you're prepared. You're not easily shaken by setbacks, disagreements, or rejections because you know your worth. This kind of resilience is incredibly attractive because it signals that you're a man who can handle life's challenges with grace and strength. Another key aspect of controlled indifference is knowing when to let go. Many men stay in relationships long past their expiration date, clinging to the hope that things will improve. But sometimes, the healthiest choice you can make is to walk away. Controlled indifference gives you the clarity and courage to make that decision when it's necessary. It reminds you that your happiness and self-respect are worth more than any relationship. Controlled indifference is not about playing games. It's about living authentically. It's about showing up as the best version of yourself and allowing others to decide whether they want to be part of your journey. When you practice controlled indifference, you're not trying to manipulate or impress anyone. You're simply being the kind of man who doesn't need external validation to feel whole. Number 10. Building a magnetic aura. A magnetic aura isn't something you're born with. It's something you cultivate through your actions, mindset, and way of living. It's the energy you project when you're confident in who you are and unapologetic about your purpose. This isn't about being flashy or attention-seeking. It's about being grounded, intentional, and captivating in a way that feels authentic. Imagine walking into a room and instantly commanding attention without saying a word. It's not about your appearance or the clothes you're wearing. It's about the way you carry yourself. A magnetic aura comes from within and is built on the foundation of self-respect, purpose, and emotional stability. The first step to building a magnetic aura is to live with intention. People are drawn to those who have a clear sense of direction and purpose. When you're passionate about your goals and unafraid to chase them, you naturally exude an energy that others find inspiring. Women, in particular, are drawn to men who are driven, focused, and unapologetically ambitious. Another key element of a magnetic aura is emotional resilience. Life is full of challenges, and how you handle them says a lot about who you are. A man who stays calm under pressure, who learns from his mistakes, and who refuses to be defined by setbacks, radiates a kind of strength that's impossible to ignore. This resilience isn't just attractive, it's contagious. It inspires others to rise to their own challenges and become better versions of themselves. Authenticity is also a crucial component of a magnetic aura. In a world full of people trying to fit in or meet others' expectations, authenticity is a rare and valuable trait. When you're comfortable in your own skin and unafraid to be yourself, you create a sense of trust and connection that draws people in. Women, especially, are attuned to authenticity because it signals emotional intelligence and self-awareness. To cultivate a magnetic aura, you must also prioritize your own growth. This means constantly seeking opportunities to learn, improve, and evolve. Whether it's pursuing a new skill, exploring a passion, or challenging yourself to step out of your comfort zone, personal growth is the fuel that keeps your energy dynamic and engaging. When you're committed to becoming the best version of yourself, you inspire others to do the same. Finally, a magnetic aura is built on the foundation of self-respect. When you value yourself and your time, you set a standard for how others should treat you. This isn't about being arrogant or demanding, it's about knowing your worth and refusing to settle for less. When you carry yourself with self-respect, you attract people who value and appreciate you for who you are. A magnetic aura isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up every day with the intention to live fully, love deeply, and grow continually. When you embrace this mindset, you don't just attract others, you inspire them. Everything we've talked about today boils down to one simple truth. You are the foundation of your relationships, your confidence, and your value. When you prioritize your own growth, lead with strength and purpose, and cultivate the magnetic energy of a man who knows his worth, you stop chasing and start attracting. Think about what this could mean for your life. Imagine waking up every day, not worrying about whether someone will stay or leave, but knowing that your value is undeniable. Imagine building relationships based on mutual respect and admiration, rather than dependency or fear. The path forward is clear. Stop giving your power away. Instead, focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Love isn't about losing yourself to please someone else. It's about being so grounded in who you are that others can't help but be drawn to you. Reflect on what you've learned here. Ask yourself, am I living as the man I aspire to be? Am I building relationships that lift me up or hold me back? These are the questions that matter. These are the questions that will change your life. Remember, relationships thrive when both people are whole, confident, and independent. Be the man who inspires, who leads, who grows. That's the man every woman admires, and the man who builds a life worth living. If this video resonated with you, it's time to take action. Comment below. I choose strength and growth. Let us know that you're committed to stepping into your power and building the life you deserve. Don't stop here. Hit the subscribe button and join our community of men on the same journey. By subscribing, you're not just supporting this channel, you're helping spread this message to thousands of men who need it. Together, we're reshaping what it means to be a confident, high-value man in today's world. Share this video with a friend who needs to hear this. Let's grow together and create a world where men and women connect on the foundation of respect, ambition, and purpose. Conclusion. The principles we've discussed today, self-respect, emotional stability, controlled indifference, and building a magnetic aura, are not just tactics for attracting others, but foundational elements for creating a life of purpose, fulfillment, and genuine connection. Relationships thrive when both individuals are whole, confident, and independent. When you live authentically, pursue your passions, and maintain emotional resilience, you naturally attract people who respect and admire you for who you truly are. Being the best version of yourself isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up every day with the intention to grow, to learn, and to become more grounded in your own strength. When you do this, you stop chasing validation or approval and start attracting the kind of relationships that lift you up and inspire mutual respect and admiration. As you move forward, reflect on the man you aspire to be. Are you investing in your own growth and creating a life that reflects your true worth? Are your relationships based on mutual respect, or are they dependent on fear and insecurity? The answers to these questions will guide you toward building the life and connections you deserve. Remember, your value is undeniable when you choose to lead with confidence and purpose. You have the power to create a life of fulfillment and attract relationships that complement your journey. Stay committed to your own growth, embrace your strengths, and live with integrity. When you do, you'll become the man every woman admires and the man who builds a life worth living. Now is the time to take action. Choose strength, choose growth, and step into the life you deserve.